everyone. It's Linda from Linda Z's in Arlington Heights and my camera person, Debbie.
Hello.
We are here today to tell you about some really cool things again. Number one, I want to start with our quilts. So a little different type of quilt today. I've got a really sweet one underneath it. I want to show you a little baby one. And this is something from Shannon. It's Cuddle. You can see the back of it. I wish you could feel it.
So soft.
Oh my gosh, it's so soft as you can imagine. And what's really cool about this and wonderful is that this goes together in just a couple of hours. There's a very easy way to do this. There's not much involved in regular quilting. However, if you are a traditional quilter, you are going to love what you're doing with these because they come already put together, cut out, with fabric ready for you to go with instructions. And there's quite a few of them that we have. We have the ladybug. I mean, there's many.
All different sizes too. This is
we're
the
going to
easiest
try and
size.
put those out for you to be able to see. But you can see this little edging that goes on here. I don't know if you can get that up real close, but you see it's not folded under.
It's a raw edge. Yeah, it's a raw edge.
And see how it's like that serpentine stitch that goes over and
zigzag would work too.
Right, and it's very simple to put it on. So no hand binding. Normally I have my little needles, my number 9 applique, but you don't need that for this because this really should be done on a machine. It's going to be for a child and a baby that can be thrown in the machine and then in the dryer afterwards.
Can I add just a couple tricks? The tricks are that you need polyester thread and you need to make your stitch length super long. At least 3.
Wonder why.
I wonder why, right? And because if you ever need to rip it out, it's so much easier to rip out when it's a 3. Yes.
And don't wear black while you're making the quilt.
Or if you do, have a roller handy to take off all the lint.
One of these.
One of those.
And very important.
Exactly. They suggest that after you cut the little strips, that you put it in the dryer with a damp towel, and it takes away all the excess. Or you could just shake it in one spot and vacuum clean that one spot.
So that's this little one, but I want to show you a bigger one that Debbie actually did on the Bernina Q24. Which I'm showing you the back because this is the most beautiful part.
Yeah, so I used the robotics on this guy to do a beautiful paisley-looking quilting design, and it's just so easy to put the Cuddle, on the frame. And I actually did do an extra binding, but you could have just had a wider backing and pulled it over to the front, and then just done the wave stitch like Mom was showing you earlier, or Linda Z was showing you earlier.
This is actually just a panel. We don't have this particular panel anymore, but we do have quite a few panels. And again, by doing this with the long arm, it's a
regular cotton on the front and the Cuddle on the back. Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to put this down. It's so
I know.
comfortable.
I've been hiding it. Maybe one of these days, one of my kids will be having little kids, and I'll be giving that to them at some point.
Okay, so now let's go over to a couple of things. Because we have somebody that's going to be coming after us that's really doing some wonderful things. So this wonderful machine up here is the Bernina L460.
It's a serger.
It's a great, easy machine to use.
I'm going to go up on a close-up here.
And you can really see, I will tell you, I've done many garments on this, lots of pajamas. In fact, we're going to try and do a pajama here one of these days again. But the garment that I've got, of course, is done on a 4 thread, and see all these seams, real simple.
Let's see again, show us the seam on the inside
What I do is I just turn it on the inside. All I do is I stitch it, and then what I do is I just turn it up, and I'll either do a top stitch with a stretch stitch, or else I'll just use the regular serger stitch. So simple. We have the pattern that will be on our website that you can see it. It looks different on the website because you see this has got little tails on the side. But what we're doing, because I'm shorter, I like to have it can go way down, or you can make it straight across, which is really fun to be able to make your own pattern, to adapt it to your own figure, because nobody's the same. So I hope you get a chance to try this Bernina 460.
What can we do for our customers until the end of the
we have,
The
we have
month here.
really something special, guys, that we have never been able to do before. Bernina, because of these really tough times, you know what they're doing?
They're allowing us to ship directly to your house.
So you don't have to come in. You can just call us. You can email us, whatever. And we literally can send this beautiful Bernina right to your place. And it is on sale right now. So it's really
through the end of
time.
April, take advantage of that. If you want a serger.
Now I'm going to show you a little technique that on this great little Juki. It is the 18. It's called QVP, and QVP is a special type of machine that cannot be sold on the internet. We do have ones that we do sell on the internet, but this is actually just sold in the stores because we do a lot of training on it and a lot of service. Do you see this 1/4-inch foot? I love this foot.
This comes with it. Yes.
That tiny little edge right there. And of course, we've got the, you want to tell them what kind of fabric?
Well, we have the cherry with, oh wait, 1 second.
I put a real long stitch on
this
here
is
because I was doing,
Here, let me
before
bring that down to a shorter
before
stitch.
I started this quilt,
To
you may have seen some of this leather that I was doing, and if you can see that stitch up close. And then I took a pair of old slippers that started to come apart, and it was about twice this width and depth, and actually sewed on. Now I had to make the stitch length very long in order to do that. And of course, when I come back to quilting, now I'm not as fast as quilter as Debbie is. She likes to just go right through this and, really, but look how easy that is to guide. And taking that over right to the end.
we're putting the sashing on
Now listen
those
to what I'm
blocks.
going to do.
Oh, actually, you can't. Why can't you do that?
Oh,
Because
you
I
did
put on
something.
something comes with this machine that is really cool for people who are sewing at 2 in the morning, like me, often. And so this thing here is what blocks the automatic scissor cutter on the heel of the foot control.
Now when it's off, can I do it?
Yeah, try it now. So we're going to push the heel, and it just cuts the threads. Right, but I like to have that on at 2 in the morning to block the scissor cutter so that I don't, just because I'm tired, cut the threads with my foot.
So I'll go ahead.
It actually comes
and
with this machine. That
put that
block.
down again.
Very cool.
Where it's a little hard to sew up on this
Whoops, you pushed it again. There you go.
Yeah. Well, look at how fast. Now you got to make sure when you're doing it that fast, you listen to that. But that guide is just keeping it so smooth, and look at, they're perfectly matched when you get down to the bottom. And there we go.
Awesome.
All flicked and ready
now
to
we
go.
wanted to show you this machine in particular today because the video that follows us is an awesome video by one of our awesome teachers. Who is that, Mom?
That is Suellen.
Suellen,
Gerard. Suellen and Debbie have worked together before, quite often in long arming. And she has a long armor like Debbie, and she works very closely with her on teaching people how to do various techniques. Now, we thought that a lot of you are at home doing the ByAnnie products and you don't have a long arm, so we want you to be able to know that you can do a lot of these purses and heavy designs. They're phenomenal on a machine like this.
Absolutely.
If you have one. But if you've got a regular sewing machine, she's going to show you that too. And the bags are, if you've never made a ByAnnie bag, this would be the time to do it. She's doing the clamshell, which is a very easy one to start with. And she's going to show you something called Soft and Stable. And you're even going to get a peek into her studio, which is really fun.
Exciting.
So I think we are ready to
have Suellen take it away.
Over to Suellen. Enjoy.
Okay, bye everyone.
Hi, this is Suellen, really missing Debbie and Linda and Tracy and all the gang from Linda's Ease. But I'm here in my home studio, and you can see that I have, my husband calls it the sweatshop, but he lovingly keeps everything going for me. So I have a quilt set up here on the long arm, and I have the sewing area over on the other side. What I wanted to start today we're going to be looking at some ByAnnie products and some ByAnnie options. And one of my reasons for doing this project today, we're going to do clam up. But the reason I want to do it is because there are lots of options that can be applied to any of the ByAnnie projects. And so I'm going to look at some of the techniques and processes that you can use to apply on any of the projects. I also wanted to show you, oh, hello, Dandelion. Hello there. Our dog decided to come in and help with the filming. Yes, this is Dandelion, and she is my sewing buddy. But I wanted to share with you some of my very favorite Annie projects that I use every day in my sewing area. And the first one is, this is running with scissors and take a stand. The take a stand is underneath. But the running with scissors, I keep all of my tools organized all the time. Another one that I use all the time is the needle case and wool pincushion. I don't use the wool pincushion as much, but I use the needle case all the time, and it tells me what needle I have in the machine, because I can put a little pin to show. I have some fancy pins that I put to show what is in each of the machines, and then it has a place to show you all the different types of needles. And the pattern also has a printed sheet that you can put in that talks about what kind of needles to use for what kind of projects. Another one that I use all the time is a place for everything. And this one I use for keeping anything that won't fit in my running with scissors, bag, I keep in here. The other three that I wanted to share with you are the pack it in. This is what I keep all the projects. Like this is what I have, the folding wallet. All of the things that I had planned to do at Linda Z's on Monday before the social distancing, that's all here waiting for the time when we can go in. The nesting baskets I use to keep different supplies in. And then the ultimate travel bag I love because I use it for as a carry-on on the airplane, and I put my little sewing machine, the Bernina 350. I put that right inside there, and I can carry it on on the machine. We're back again, and my husband is the one who is filming this, and so thank you to Tanner. What I wanted to talk about next would be how you stabilize the fabric for making the Annie bags. And one of the things that makes them very special is the soft and stable. And here I have all the scraps. Down below on my long arm is where I keep rolls of the different stabilizers. And so here I have the Annie roll. This is more of a cotton batting. But the wonderful thing about using the clam up pattern is you can use all your scraps. You can use your scraps of fabric, you can use your scraps of soft and stable, and you can do all sorts of these little bags. To give you an idea, this is the smallest size. This one is made with a vinyl, and so you can use almost anything you want, and you can get the iron-on vinyl to have a vinyl lining inside the bag. This is another one. It shows if you quilt it closely, then it makes it much thinner, and so it's a lot more flexible. Here's a medium size, and then this shows you all 5 sizes, and so they all nest inside together, but so that you have a nested set of 5 different bags that you can make. So the largest bag I have here, and one way to stabilize it is I put it on the long arm. And if you don't have a long arm, no problem. You can do lots of other things. And so this is one option. You can just simply put it on your embroidery machine, and so you can do an embroidery pattern. Another option you can do is to layer it, and then you can either use a guide on your machine, or you can use a pounce pad or something else to mark the lines. And then you can quilt it on your domestic machine. Another option is to use either Apple Web Plus, Or you can use, Linda has a fabulous product that she designed and they sell at her store, and it works the same way. But what you do with the Apple Web Plus is you draw the design on the paper side, then you cut it out, and you peel the paper off. And then you can iron it onto the soft and stable. Now this one I've already ironed it onto one side, and now I can iron it on this side, and then I can cut the entire thing out. But you can see it makes a nice tight bond. If you choose to, then you can do any kind of, you could, you know, follow some of the lines, you could do whatever you would like on that. Another option then is to use some of the ribbons for embellishment, and I love these. This is all Tula Pink fabric. Linda carries a huge selection of Tula Pink fabrics in her collection. But you can take these ribbons, and I would do it on this one before I join the two sides together. By the way, I'll show you what I did. I'm going to join the two sides together because it's a one-way fabric. So I'll show you how to accomplish that, and then you can use directional fabric on any of your Annie bags. But before joining them together, then I can use the ribbons to highlight and design the bags. So I can use these. And then I'm going to use the stitch in the ditch foot to sew those on the machine to stitch them down. This would also help attach the fabric to the soft and stable. So let me finish cutting the ribbons, and I'll be right back with you and show you how I stitch on the ribbons and also how I attach the two pieces together so that you can use directional fabric on your Annie bags.
Okay.
Hi, I'm back. And I just had a lot of fun playing with the ribbons. And it's kind of fun because, you know, you can use a lot of different types of ribbons. This is a neck strap that I got at Linda Z's, but it would be a fun kind of strapping. You know, if when you're making the Annie bags, you don't want to do the entire casing around the strapping, you can just embellish by using a ribbon on top. I've done that on some of the bags. So what I've done here is I have used a marker and I used a glue stick, and so I glued the ribbons down in place. And I use a jeans needle for when I'm sewing the Annie bags. I use jeans needles because this is not very thick. I'm using a 90-14 needle, and I have the edge stitch foot on, and so that it keeps me exactly where I want to be. So now to stitch down the ribbons, I'm going to start right here in the middle. And the edge stitch foot just keeps it right exactly straight. And you can see that if you didn't have this already quilted, and I need to have that, this would be one way of attaching the fabrics to your soft and stable. advantage of sewing at home is that I do get to sew barefoot. I don't know if any of you out there sew barefoot, but that's how I feel the pedal the best. So that is one advantage of sewing at home. So now we have the ribbon embellishment right in place. The other place that I thought it would be fun to embellish would be on some of the tabs that we're going to put on. And so these are the tabs where you have the square, you fold them inside, and the instructions are to edge stitch. So I'll edge stitch this, but I will also then stitch down the ribbon. And this is the tab that you use at the end of each bag to help when you want to zip it. Then this is something to hold on to when you want to zip your bag. And then the other tab that is an option is to have some kind of keychain or key holder. And so what I have here is the longer strap that then will attach a ring to, so that you can clip it to things inside the purse. There we go. I have the ends folded under on one end of this, but the other end is out flat because we don't want to add any additional bulk. But the end that we're going to attach to the ring, then I do have that folded under. And now we'll just sew around the outside edge. And now we'll snip the little threads. And we'll put this on. We have our little key ring attached. Oops, it looks like I have a little thread nest. I didn't hold on to my thread at the other side, so I'll clean that up. The next thing I wanted to show you was how I can make this into, since it's a directional fabric, how do I work with that? Well, the way that I do that is I take a 1-inch strip of fabric, because anytime you have a 1-inch strip and you sew 2 1/4-inch seams, one on each side, then it actually ends up not increasing the width at all. For the other one, you can see here, I have an 1.5-inch strip. I have the measurement here. It's an 1.5-inch strip, and this will go on the inside. And the reason I have it an 1.5-inch strip is because then I'm going to fold that over and I will end up top stitching that. So I'm going to put on my 1/4-inch foot. I'm also going to change the thread on the top. I'm not going to change the thread on the bottom because the inside is purple, but I'm going to change the thread on the top to be the same as the outside of the bag. So I do find that in making these bags, I do have thread changes if I have different colors on the insides and outsides, depending on where it is. So, boy, am I glad to have an automatic needle threader. Until I retired, I didn't even know they existed. Retirement was a wonderful, wonderful kind of aha moment. I found out that rotary cutters had been invented, and wow, what an awesome thing. And another thing I didn't know about were the wonder clips. Boy, did I feel like I had been sewing in the dark ages. So now I'm going to sew this along here with a 1/4-inch seam. I'm going to reverse a little bit. These little machines have a lot of power. Okay, so now I have this attached here and here, but I'm not going to do anything with the back right now. I'm just going to attach this to the other front part. And what I have to make sure is that I line up the 2 pieces of soft and stable here, because I want the 2 parts to match. So I have to line those up exactly. Then I'm going to sew this to the other. This is the outside part that will go to the other. And you'll notice that this foot is a 1/4-inch on each side, and so it just fits right down that middle. It's great. And so I know that if this side of the foot is right on that 1/4-inch, right next to the soft and stable, I know when I open it up, it's going to be a perfect fit. Okay, so now we have the outside. It's all joined, and it's a perfect fit on the inside. And now this I can fold right here to the last seam line, and I fold it over, and I'm finger pressing. And now I can turn it over, and I'm going to stitch in the ditch. And voila, you have a piece that is all going so that when it's upright, your otters will be upright on both sides. And so you could use the directional fabric, but you have the seam in the bottom. So we'll be back in a little while to talk about the next step in making this clam up bag. We're back. My doggy assistant Dandelion insisted that it was time for a walk, and so we took a walk in the snow. If you can believe it, this time of year it's the snow. We have kind of a busy house because we have distance learning for high school set up over in the dining area, and then distance learning for elementary at the counter in the kitchen. So our grandchildren are with us for a couple weeks. Their mom is a nurse practitioner, and the dad works in engineering pharmaceuticals, and so they are both needing to work. So it's a busy time here. But back to this. As you can see, I did the quilting on this to show what it looked like when it was quilted up using the chalk lines. And I did apply the ribbons. And on this one, I have sewn the fold lines, and you can see that rather than doing the tabs like I did for the other one, I've used little ribbons. And so if you want to embellish and have the pull tabs as ribbons, that is another option. So I'll just finish sewing this one on. This is the next step. The other thing that I did while I was away, it looks very minor, but let me tell you, I've done enough reverse sewing to say this is major. You really have to sew around. It's called sealing the edges, and on all the different Annie bags, you need to go and seal the edges, because if you don't seal the edges, then you'll end up, in fact, I was doing a bag for some friends last week, and I failed to seal the edges on one of those, and I had to take out the entire zipper because some of the fabric was sticking out in the front. So just a word. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add the zipper. This is called Zippers by the Yard, and it is fabulous. And so I have measured and I've drawn a line around because I'm going to want the two sides to match. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew, and I have the zipper sticking out here just a little bit, because then I'm going to fold it over and it'll totally encompass it. The foot on the Bernina that works really, really well, it's a 37 foot, because it fits just right inside the zipper teeth. And so you can just go down and you're going to have a nice straight distance along here. And I don't clip it ahead of time for this. I just go along. And you can see that where I did the stitching for sealing the edge, it is not going to show at all. It's going to be inside the seam around the zipper. The other thing you have to do as you are sewing this on is make sure, if you've done a ribbon embellishment like I did, you have to make sure you have that well secured, because otherwise the ends of the ribbon will come out. So please take extra care when you are having a ribbon embellishment. Okay. So that's all there is to sewing the first part of it. Now the second part that I wanted to show you is that I am going to, you want to make sure that you put these side tags going this way. If they're going the other way, if you have one here and one here, then when you join them to the other side, your bag will be like this, and that doesn't work very well. And so you want to make sure that you join them this way so that when your bag comes together, those are the side panels for the bag. So they both go on one side. And you just sew right on top of the seam that you've just done sewing the zipper on. After you have that, the next part is then you're going to match up the zipper with the other side of the bag. And over here you can see I have my line. So I need a couple more clips. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, I was short on a couple clips. Because once you get this clipped, then what we're going to do, it'd be more challenging to sew it this way. So I'm going to pull the zipper apart. And then I just sew this side on as well. Okay, so now the zipper is on both sides. Now what I'm going to go to the other machine because it has a different color thread and not all my examples have the same color. So over here, I want you to see that the feet I use on this machine are the same type feet. I have the narrow zipper foot, and I have the 1/4 inch foot, I have a clear foot, and I have the edge stitch foot. So a different machine. It's actually, you'll see here, this is my pile of the masks that I have laid out to sew next. But this is, I think I'm up to, almost 150 masks. So now what I've done is I'm ready to sew the other side of the side panel. I changed machines because of thread color, and it was faster just to change machines than it was to rethread. Now you notice I have the narrow zipper foot on, and this foot works beautifully for the sewing down of the zipper. The other essential tool I find is Annie's stiletto, and it's rough on the sides. I think it's roughed up with diamonds or something like that, and so it makes a big difference. Now I want to trim these threads off so they're not sticking out when I finish sewing that seam. Makes it a little easier. And then so I just line up the edge of the narrow zipper foot with the edge of the zipper.
And we sew on around. Almost there. Well, you'll notice this totally encloses all the raw edges. You have no raw edges left on the zipper at all. The bag, it looks really professionally finished by using the techniques that she has in her pattern.
So now the bag is finished. One of the reasons I love zippers by the yard is because now what I can do, I've loaded on 2 zippers here. And so I can use the zippers to come up. Don't want to have it go off the end. So now I have the zippers, but I can cut this off and I have all of that to use on my next bag. So that's a real advantage in using zippers by the yard. And so you end up with, you can do a whole set of these bags with just using the one zippers by the yard bag. And so it is very economical. After that, we're going to turn this inside out. We're going to sew across the end. We're back for the very final step in finishing the bag. And so that is when we're going to close the ends. So I have clipped this. I lined up the zipper and the tab. So I'm going to start by going backwards. And then the next step is to bind the edge. If you need to trim the zipper or trim the ends at all, this is where you would have done that. But this end looks pretty smooth and flat, so I think we're good. 9014 jeans needles go through anything. I find they're even really good for when I'm working on the masks and have the elastic and all of those layers of flannel and cotton and everything. So then once you have this sewn on, I fold this up at a bit of an angle, and then I can make sure that it tucks in and doesn't show. So then I clip this. So again, I'm folding this end up just a bit at an angle. Then I fold it over even. That gives me play so that it doesn't show on the other side. And remember, this is going to be on the inside of a corner, so if it's not perfect, no big deal. It'll all get hidden in the crease of the fold. Okay. Now I'll snip the threads, but I wanted to show you we are indeed done. So we just turn it over, poke the outside corners out. We're gonna zip up the edges. Give it a little squeeze. So here we have the tab on the one end, and we have the loop that you can attach to other things on the other end. They're different sizes, so here are the other two that we made today. And here's another variety, from the vinyl to the embellished with ribbon. This one has the quilting that is done just in lines. This one has no quilting at all. And then this was done on the long arm. So you have lots of variety, lots of options. It's a fun bag. Have fun, enjoy. And I sure hope I get to see you at Linda Z's for Bags by Annie soon.